Hello GCSE students, we're looking at Area Study 2 in this second video, Harmony and Tonality for AQA GCSE Music. So just to clarify what this video is all about, it's about knowing the patterns for chords. I'm pretty sure you know major and minor, but we're going deeper than major and minor, and we're looking at seventh chords as well. We're also going to be learning what the symbols look like on the music, and most importantly how to travel from one chord to another when we're using seventh chords. This is important. Before we get going, you'll need to pause the screen and create your worksheet. It needs to look like this, with your name at the top, the title, and underneath it each question has 3 parts, 1A, 1B, 1C. For 1A you will need to print screen the letters of a piano, 2 octaves ideally. Please make it look like that, so we've got the letters on the keyboard. 1B, it is written like this, then give yourself a line to write the answer. And 1C, which you should do as an extension if you have a piano at home or a keyboard, what chord might you travel to? In other words, you're working out what the second chord would be after playing a certain seventh chord. Just to let you know, there are 15 questions in total, so 1A, 1B, 1C, 2A, 2B, 2C, 3A, 3B, 3C, etc., all the way up to 15. Okay, we'll start off by looking at the easy one, major chord, which is 4 semitones plus 3 semitones. Hopefully you know this already, so I'm not going to spend long on this section. Just be aware that it isn't written like that on a lead sheet. You don't write F major, you actually write it as just a single F. Let's take a look at it. It looks like that, so that tells us that beat 1 is an F major chord. Okay, so let's find out where these notes are on the keyboard. Remember that it's 4 plus 3, so let's follow the mouse. So we don't include the first note, F. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. And nice and easy. So there's our major chord. Should be able to find any major chord that exists by using that formula. Minor chord, pretty straightforward, 3 plus 4. I'm referring to semitones there. Okay, how does it look like on music or on a lead sheet? Not like that. You don't write D minor, you can write D, M, or you can write D, min, or for short for minor. And another example would be that there. That's what it looks like. In this particular lead sheet it says D, min for minor. Okay, how do we find it? Well, remembering that we're looking at 3 plus 4, let's start with a D. Don't include the first one. 1, 2, 3, so we should have F. 1, 2, 3, 4. 3 plus 4 is the minor chord. Shouldn't be a problem with that. Just one more thing though, as well as writing DM or D min, you can also write it as D with a hyphen sign. There's an example of a C minor 7th actually. There you can see that hyphen used. It's important to know what all the chord symbols look like. Alright, so let's look at a diminished chord, 3 plus 3. You could read it like that on a score, you could also read it like that. This is an important one to learn. A little circle to the right hand side. That's a common way of writing diminished chords. And here's an example of what it looks like on a lead sheet. You can see the A and you can see the tiny little circle. It doesn't come out too well on this video, but you get the gist, hopefully. Okay, so let's have a look at how this would work. So 3 plus 3. So we start at C, don't include the first note. 1, 2, 3. We should have an E flat. We do. 1, 2, 3. We should have a G flat. Okay, there we go, that's diminished. Let's look at augmented. 4 plus 4. You could write it like that, C with an AUG, representing of course augmented. It's also written probably more commonly with a plus sign. In fact, these two are used evenly. So that's how to write the symbol if you're writing down the chord on top of a lead sheet. Let's have a look at how it works. So, don't include the first note. 1, 2, 3, 4. We should have an E. We do have an E. 1, 2, 3, 4. We should have a G sharp, and we do. So 4 plus 4 is your augmented chords. Let's get down to a little bit of deeper learning now. We're looking at seventh chords. Dominant seventh chords. 4 plus 3 plus 3. So we've got another number to consider now. Just to let you know, all dominant Dominant seventh chords are always a major chord. You'd never have a minor chord with a dominant seventh. Why is it called dominant seventh? That's an important question to ask. But in order to find the answer, we need to ask another question. Dominant refers to the fifth, which hopefully you know. So we need to find out what is C the fifth of. Not what is the fifth of C. What is C the fifth of? Okay, let's start with C as number 5, and let's work our way backwards. So if C is 5, go down the alphabet. B is 4, A is 3, G is 2, and F is 1. Okay, so this is called a dominant chord because it's the F chord that you would move to most likely if you're playing a C7 or C dominant seventh. It's used very, very often for a cadence. So we're going to look now at how to find those notes on the keyboard. First of all, let's look at what a dominant seventh looks like on the score. Note there aren't any, look at this one, D minor seventh. There aren't any letters like minor or major before the 7. A dominant seventh, because it's used so often, it just has the number 7 after it. That's important to note. More on that in a little bit. Okay, so let's find out some of these notes. Let's have our first note as A. We're going to actually do that chord there, A7 or A dominant seventh. Let's just call it A7 because that's what we do in music. So what is it? It's 4 plus 3 plus 3. So A, don't include the first note. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it should be a C sharp. 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. 4 plus 3 plus 3. That is absolutely correct, of course, and we can see that that's correct. However, I said I'd come to this later. The dominant seventh is very, very popular, especially in pop music. They're used all the time. So just let it be known that we just use the number next to the letter, and it's almost always used, well, it's regularly used, I should say, in a perfect cadence. Looking at the major seventh, a bit jazzy. I like this one. You would know that if you know me as a teacher. I love jazz. Major seventh is used a lot in jazz. It's 4 plus 3 plus 4. What does it look like on the score? It looks like that. F, and then you write M-A-J for major seventh. F major seventh. There are a few ways to write it. That's the most common. Let's have a look at what it would be on the piano. So we're starting with F. Remind ourselves, 4 plus 3 plus 4. F. Okay, what's the second one? 1, 2, 3, 4. A. 1, 2, 3. 4 plus 3. What's the last letter? The last number, sorry, is 4 plus 3 plus 4. So from here we need to go 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Should be an E. And it is an E. Okay. Something important to note here, have a read of this, whilst other seventh chords will often move to another chord with one note staying the same. For example, you might go to a related inverted chord, a bit like keeping your thumb on C when moving from C to an F, so C, E, G to C, F, A. The major seventh chord often moves completely upwards or downwards and sounds quite good. In this example, on this score, we can see it moves from F major seventh, which is that chord there, to E minor seventh with flattened fifth, which basically means that all of those notes are moving downwards. It's one of the few seventh chords that can do that. Okay, the minor seventh chord. 3 plus 4 plus 3. What does it look like on a score? It'll look like that. Okay, in this example it's a D minor seventh, M-I-N, short for minor. I'm sure you worked that out for yourselves. What does it look like on the keyboard? Well, let's get our first note, shall we? D. Remind ourselves, 3 plus 4 plus 3. These formula patterns are really important to remember. They can really help you out to work things out. So, 1, 2, 3, that should be an F. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, 1, 2, 3. So 3 plus 4 plus 3. 3 plus 4 plus 3. Makes sense. There's your minor seventh chord. And the last seventh chord we're going to look at in this video is diminished seventh. This is 3 plus 3 plus 3. Really crunchy chord. All the threes, that's the way I remember it. What does it look like on a score? Okay, excuse the flashing there. Okay, this is a B flat diminished seventh. So just like the diminished chord we saw earlier on, it has a little circle plus a seventh. Okay, what does this say? But it can also be written B flat dim seventh. So there's two ways of writing it. Little circle 7 or B flat dim short for diminished seventh. Where's it? what's happening on the keyboard then. So let's start with the B flat. Okay, remind ourselves it's 3 plus 3 plus 3. So 1, 2, 3, D flat, 1, 2, 3. I have to call that F flat, more on that in a minute. 1, 2, 3. Right, let's look at the chord transitions. First obvious thing to say is chords are patterns. Certain chords work well together. We're going to explore that in 1 second. We need to use our ears to detect whether a chord goes with another chord or not, but we can use our eyes as well as our ears. More on that in a few moments. Augmented, diminished and most seventh chords work well when particular inverted chords follow them, and I'm going to demonstrate that in just 1 moment, and that is why you need to take notes on this part of the video, because the next minute or so is on the piano. Have your notes ready to take. So I'm going to demonstrate how certain chord transitions work well from one chord to another, and I'm going to refer to the chords I've mentioned in the video. I'm not going to be talking about the major and the minor chords, because at this level you should be working at a higher level. So we'll start with diminished chords. Let's start with the C diminished. C, hopefully by now you know it's what plus what, tell me? Yep, 3 plus 3. 1, 2, 3. E flat, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so C diminished. And two good transitions that you could use here. The G flat could resolve to a G, and these two notes could go downwards, one to B, one to D, and that gets you to an inverted G chord. It's also a cadence. You could go to a minor chord by changing one of those notes. The G flat would still become a G natural. The thumb on C could still become a B. But this E flat could become an E natural, and then that becomes an inverted E minor chord. So from the C diminished you could have C diminished to inverted G major, or C diminished to inverted E minor. There are other chords you could use, but those two work very, very well as a starting point. Let's look at the augmented chord. We'll be in C for all of these chords, just for sake of ease. Augmented, 4 plus 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Two chords that work well from a C or any augmented chord would be to go to, in this case, C augmented to F, so it's going to the dominant, sorry, the subdominant should I say. So the C stays where it is, G sharp to A, and E to F. So C augmented to an inverted F chord. You could go C augmented to an inverted A minor chord. You'd only move the G sharp to the A. So two chords you could use, just to clarify. In an augmented chord, in this case C, you could move the top note up one, and that creates an inverted A minor chord, or you could move both of the second and third note of the chord up one semitone, and then that goes to an inverted F chord. That theory works for any augmented chord. For example, let's say you had an augmented A, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. You could just move the top note. See, that makes minor, or you could move both second and third note in the chord up, and that makes, well, you can do an inverted D basically. Dominant seventh. So let's work in C again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4 plus 3 plus 3. The most obvious chord that you would go to. It's a bit of a perfect cadence, to say the least. C down to F. Keeping the thumb there because you don't really want to go from... Well, that's too much movement, you don't need to do that. So C7 resolves to an inverted F chord. Just to give you an example, if you had a G chord, G7 should I say, G dominant 7, it resolves to an inverted C chord. The major seventh, let's do this. You got 1, 2, 3, 4 plus 1, 2, 3 plus 1, 2, 3, 4. Nice and jazzy. This one you got options with. The most obvious, well, to me anyway, the most obvious way to do this is to go to the minor key, one tone up. You could go a tone down. So in other words, all of the keys are moving upwards or downwards, and that's quite popular with major chords. It doesn't always happen, but it's quite popular. So the last of the chords that we looked at today was diminished. So let's do a diminished seventh, should I say, not diminished. We've looked at diminished. So that's all the threes. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Now, you've got a couple of options. This is very, very similar, in fact the same, as the diminished chord. So you could go to the G from a diminished C, diminished seventh on C. So this goes up, that disappears, the top note. This goes up, and these go down. Down. First two notes of the chord go down. Third note goes up, and the seventh really comes down as well, but you share that note. So you go from C, E flat, G flat. Well, we have to be careful here, don't we? We have to call it a B double flat. Thumb down, index down, and then we can play the that is an inverted G chord. Your other option is to make a minor chord. So this goes down and these two go up. You can leave your little fingers not doing much because that seventh note disappears. I mean, if you wanted to explore further, you could get clever with it and try and add a seventh in. You can explore with chords. See how I'm adding the odd note in here and there. That's exactly what you should do, because inevitably at some point you'll play a really dodgy chord, and your ears should say, no, that doesn't work. But when you get the chord right, it'll feel right. So now we come back to this worksheet. You're actually going to complete the questions now. So hopefully you've got 15 questions, 1A, 1B, 1C, 2A, 2B, 2C, through to 15A, 15B, 15C. How it's going to work is I'm going to demonstrate 2 questions, 1A, 1B, 1C, and 2A, 2B, 2C. Then the rest is down to you. Each question and the 3-part questions are all about different chords. So in this example, I am going to say 1A, we're dealing with B flat diminished. So the first thing you need to do is circle the notes in a B flat diminished, not diminished seventh, diminished. So that should be B flat, 1, 2, 3, D flat, 1, 2, 3, F flat. Notice I said F flat, not E. It is written like this. Well, if you've done your homework correctly, you should remember that we can do B flat, and then you can write dim, or like I'm going to do, you can do your little circle. And that is the correct way to write B flat diminished. The extension, I will demonstrate it. So what chord might you travel to? So for this particular exercise, you'll need to demonstrate the chord. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And in this particular example, I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to bring the thumb down 1, and I'm going to bring the second note and the third note up 1. So I'm going to go from B flat diminished, and it works well when I go to that chord. 2 options in order to write your answer down. One is you could literally just write the letters you're playing, A, D, and F. The other option is you can work out what that chord is. Now, should we put that A up to form a chord pattern, we learn that it's D minor, DFA. Two ways you can write that is as follows. You can just write D minor. That's meant to be an M, sorry, I'm not actually holding this paper, so it's quite tricky. The other way is to literally write A, D, and F. I'll do another example. So 2A, the chord is going to be F augmented. So the first thing we do is we write the letters down, well, circle the letters, should I say. So we'll do F, 4 plus 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, A, 1, 2, 3, 4, so C sharp. Okay, it is written like this. Well, it's an F augmented, so F and the little plus sign, F plus. Extension, well, what chord might you travel to? We need to play the F augmented first to get that right. So F, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. If I remember rightly, the simplest way to do this is to move that C sharp up to D. So I have gone from F augmented to another chord. Again, you could just write F, A, D, or you could put the D down and work out that it's D minor. That's purely coincidental that it's the same chord. Okay, so your two options, you could say I've gone to a D minor chord, or if you can't quite work that out, you could just work out that you've gone from, what was it? I think it was A, F, and D. Just to clarify, what you're now going to see is the PowerPoint screen, and it'll just come up with question 3, then question 4, and question 5, etc. up until 15 questions are over, and I will literally just say the name of a chord, pause the screen, and you do the questions thereafter. Okay, so this is your turn now. Complete your questions, circle the chords, then do your B question, and then for each one do your C question if you can, if you've got a keyboard at home. For question 3, the chord it is referring to is C diminished. Pause if you need to, I'm going to go straight through. Question 4, B flat augmented. Question 5, G diminished 7th. Question 6, F diminished 7th. Question 7, E major 7th. Question 8, D flat major 7th. Question 9, A minor 7th. Question 10, A sharp major 7th. Question 11, E7 or E dominant 7th. Question 12, G minor 7th. Question 13, F7. Question 14, D diminished 7th. Question 15, F sharp augmented. That's it, well done, it's over.